listening to the One's Ready podcast, a team of Air Force Special Operators forged in combat with over 70 years of combined operational experience, as well as a decade of selection instructor experience. If you're tired of settling and you want to do something you truly believe in, you're in the right place. Now here's your favorite CC2 personality, JTAC extraordinaire, embracer of the ridiculous face, and like the shortest operator you'll ever meet, Peaches.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room. As always, we got the crew together because we wanted to talk to a very special guest, especially a special guest to me. I guess I don't even need to use a rank anymore because I don't think a rank matters, but Jason Shady Shemchuk. Before I introduce you though, and we go into all this, I do want to, hey, everybody, go on to Apple Podcast, leave a review, rate us, follow us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, follow us on YouTube, like, share, do whatever you're going to do. Please do that. And then also check out a lot of our affiliates that we have. Today, we'll talk about Strike Force Energy. If you guys haven't checked them out, they're at strikeforceenergy.com. They're energy in a packet, nothing but caffeine, straight to your veins, tastes great. Throw it in a little bit of water and you're good to go. Or you could be quite bold and just take it straight with no water. But I'm going to tell you, you better have a chaser because that is going to wake, just the boom, punch in the face is going to wake you up as
pure, unadulterated, just energy. Just right to your face. And by the
so don't be scared.
I feel like I should jump in with a medical disclaimer. Do not put Strike Force Energy straight into your veins. You should definitely drink it, ingest it as it's recommended on the package. Don't inject Strike Force Energy. We're gonna have people out there mainlining Strike Force Energy before workouts.
That wouldn't go over too well. But if you guys do,
who knows?
Who knows? But they do have some good flavors over there. And then, obviously, if you're going to go over there and check out with the promo code One's Ready and get yourself a 10% discount, and it helps them out, helps us out, and helps you out because you get the caffeine, baby. All right. Now, Jason, Shady.
What's up?
Man, you and I actually have quite some history together. And we didn't know it for, a good 6 or 7 years. But that's fine. That's fine. We ended up linking back up together. And we'll kind of go into some of those details later on. But
okay.
I definitely want to, these guys, Trent and Aaron and Brian, they mean a lot in my life, as well as a bunch of other people. And you are also one of those folks. So I'm honored to have you on. In fact, all of this, or at least my family, wouldn't exist without you, you personally. So much appreciated there. And I can't wait to tell everybody about it. But first, why don't you give us a little detail about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me on the show, all of you guys. I have tremendous respect for what you do now and what you used to do in the community. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And dude, it's an honor to be on here too, Jared. I mean, I'm excited to talk about it as well. I'm excited to talk about that experience. My parents are in town right now, actually. And I was just talking to them the other day, and they said to say hello because I know you met them when we were out in Vegas, and that's just a special part of my life as well. But I'm from Seattle, Washington area, and I grew up a little kid. I just wanted to be a pilot, just airport, going to the library, looking at airplanes, things like that, and I went to Air Force Academy. I didn't go to college because I was afraid I wouldn't graduate. And if I didn't graduate, I wouldn't get into pilot training. So I thought if I get to the academy, all you have to do is graduate. So I just stumbled through the academy and went to pilot training, Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas. Got lucky, got my first choice of A-10s. Always wanted to be an A-10 pilot since Gulf War I and I read the book Warthog about what was going on over there. And then as I got to know more about the Air Force and Air Force mission sets and airplanes and things, close air support really became something that I thought was something I just thought it was the mission that was right for me. And I got lucky, got A-10s, and then flew A-10s all over different places. Do you want me to go all into that, or first assignment was
go through your background, man.
First assignment was Spangalum, and then that's my first combat deployment as well. So I got to Spangalum in 2005. First combat deployment.
You went to combat in Germany. What was that like? What was that like?
Well, Jared's been there too.
That's rowdy.
It was easy. Those guys are pushover.
Yeah, you can just order a doner kebab anywhere you want. They just give it to you. It's great. They're just like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the Germany was really cool. We got married. I met my wife in Colorado when I was going to school, and we long distance dated for a while, and we got to Germany. It was like a honeymoon, man. It was just 3 years of being overseas, and then I went to Korea after that. In Germany, that combat deployment 2006 is where I guess I met you, Peaches. I don't know if meet is the right word, but went to Korea for 2 years after that. Then went to Moody Air Force Base. Then went to Nellis. Then quit. I'm a quitter. I'm a 2-time quitter because I quit the active duty and joined the reserves. Yes. And then I flew in the reserves at Whiteman Air Force Base in Kansas City area. And then I quit the reserves. And
I was like, nah. Yeah. Pass, doc.
So then
I don't want to work here anymore. See, there's this problem. It's like 85 degrees, and I just don't want to be here. So I'm just going to bounce.
I just left. Yeah. I said no more flying A-10s for me. Actually, yeah, my last combat deployment was 2018. I think 2018, 19-ish or so. We went back to Kandahar and stood up A-10s again because we had left the country. Then we came back, and then, I just came back from that deployment and had some kids at this point and just decided to be done, So 15 years in the A-10 and was ready to be done. And now I just moved from Kansas City to Utah with my family, and I fly for Delta Airlines now, and I'm also got a fly fishing brand that I'm building and a podcast, and I'm also an artist.
And that's you in a nutshell. Not too shabby. How
Get me out of this nutshell.
How are the shows of force at Delta? Do you get to do any like real low ones, or is it strictly just landing? I don't know. I think if I had a Delta pilot with a little pizzazz, little something, I don't know, might spice a flight up.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes when I'm flying around, I put villages or towns on a 30 wire on the canopy rail. Just figure like, okay, that's a perfect 30 high angle strafe wire. But no,
I don't know what that means. It sounds awesome. It sounds like you're blowing a village up.
I was gonna say, man, I think everybody's like, what's a 30-degree wire? What?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. And then I looked at your face, Peaches, and I was like, I'm supposed to laugh at this. Peaches is laughing, I'm gonna laugh. And then
Peaches kind of knows. Peaches kind of knows.
I kind of know, but I haven't.
You know.
Wait till he starts talking about cranking out mills. Then it's like,
oh god, I'm not gonna talk about that.
What are you guys laughing at? Oh, nothing, just pilot stuff.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the people out there, to talk to the people out there that don't know that much maybe about the A-10 or the mission or how big the round is that it fires and all that other stuff. Because, I'm supposed to ask the question, what drew you to the A-10? Obviously, you wanted to do it since a very young age. But what specifically about that, the mission and the platform and all that other stuff, drew you in and made it all worthwhile? And for the people that out there that don't know, like, what's the coolest thing about flying the Hog?
The coolest thing about flying the Hog is knowing that you're bringing men and women back to their families, and that is your job, and that's all there is to it. Like that's the whole thing. That's the whole reason that you do it, and that's the coolest thing about it, in my opinion. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to it. I didn't do great in pilot training.
That's
I did.
fantastic. I didn't do what anybody would call a good job in pilot training. Yeah, I don't know why we have
They
to
call
use
me
these terms
pilot
all the-
though.
Yeah. So I did.
I kind of stumbled into it.
And
Here I am.
I didn't do great. I mean, I did okay. But actually, yeah, I won't go into that. But and then it was harder for me, I guess. I had to work pretty hard, and I just felt like as I was going through, especially through pilot training and learning about close air support mission, and the different communities that were out there and things, I felt like that community, the A-10 community, it wasn't all wrapped. It was more about other people and less about me, and I felt like that I just felt like the right fit for what I was doing. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah. So, quick question on that. Do you not walk into parties and tell everybody that you're a pilot first thing? Is that not?
There was
That's
no
what
way.
I'm talking about.
There
Trent.
was no
That's what I'm talking
way.
about.
There was no way I was going to let you off the hook with that one too. You basically just were trying to find a way to say, be like, hey, I found out the A-10 community wasn't like the fighter community, and I didn't have to get pit vipers right away in order to just get into it. And that kind of drew me to it. Like, that's what you were going to say, but you were like, nah, I can't say that. I'll say it.
I have
care.
many good friends in the other communities, and they are also, they did a lot of good work as well. So I'm not.
You are so nice. We
don't want to take away from
that
them
here. We don't do that here.
But I don't know.
You get what you deserve in the team room. So
Yeah.
you let it go, buddy.
The other thing, I mean, it's a cool airplane. I mean, I think one of them came out to Laughlin on a cross country or something, and I had been reading about him when I was a little kid, and I thought that it looked badass, and I learned about the gun and all the munitions that it carried and how it flew low, and then when I got to IFF as well, IFF is like in between pilot training and when you learn how to fly whatever fighter you go to. Intro to fighter fundamentals or something. The air-to-air stuff, that's the first time you're kind of doing not just take off and land, learning how to fly. You're done learning how to fly. Now you're like intro to the tactics and stuff. So the air-to-air stuff, it wasn't as fun for me, but when we started dropping, pointing at the ground and practicing air-to-ground munitions deliveries and stuff like that, that was really cool. I really liked it, and so I kind of knew at that point that I made the right choice. I don't know. Is that the answer? Is that what else? What drew me to it?
We actually have the right answer here, and
it was
That
the,
wasn't it.
that wasn't it.
it was the big gun, and I love shooting the big gun, and it's so awesome, and I love
That's
like
exactly
killing
what you're
terrorists.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Oh, we made it.
How
we
long
made
is
it.
it going to take to get a warheads on foreheads quote?
Warheads,
You, my
yeah.
guy. Come on, jeez, always Peaches says that every time we get on Zoom.
Oh,
He's like,
Yeah.
He also
it's
says
like
bring
his
the
Semper
rain.
Fi. Bring the rain. Yeah. He
oh
does.
boy.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to be in a Transformers movie and not say your catchphrase every single time afterwards.
I definitely wear my beret out in the field all the time.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's a good beacon too. Just boom,
Oh
really
my
bright
gosh.
red.
Everybody knows. where you
500
are.
meters northwest of the Red Beret.
Giant antennas out of your backpack sticking up,
Yeah.
just walking around town. Just
Using
put big
Peaches as one
big
unit
antenna.
of measure. It is 795 units of measure away. It's 795 Peaches away from here.
They're like, so 100
Really
yards.
like 10 feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's really not that far. It's a short joke. We work one into every episode.
That's really good. I dig that, man.
Yeah. So you saw the
Yes,
huge
sir.
gun. You wanted to fly the huge gun. Perfect. That's where we are. And that's.
I should have
that's
just said
exactly-
that from the beginning.
You
Yeah,
should have
that's
just
what
said it in
was.
the beginning. I don't understand, man. I don't.
It's got a big gun.
What
and
everybody
I like-
wants.
Yeah. So you finally, what was it like that first time? Like, what was it like the first time you were in the A-10? Like, it might have been a tactical scenario, maybe it was a live ordnance, but I know we talk about it before, on a bunch of different podcasts and stuff. We're always like, every once in a while, you're reminded what you do and how much you love it. Like, but you can always remember that first time. For some guys, it's graduation. For some guys, it's their first mission. But for you, when was that first time you're like, holy cow, I'm going to write home to mom and dad because I'm an A-10 pilot and I'm just doing cool stuff?
Well, I mean, the first time I wrote home to my parents was after the mission that I had with Peaches, and that was 2006. So it wasn't necessarily like a first time flying the A-10 story, but I actually did write home to my parents that night and just told them, I was like a thank you letter, really. It was like, hey, thanks for just, being my parents and loving me and raising me and put me in an opportunity to be here. Because I did something special today, and that was the day that I could have been done flying A-10s or done with the Air Force and everything. Kind of like, I've had what I needed to do out of the A-10. I mean, I'm glad I got to keep flying and do the things that I did and stay much longer than that. But yeah, that's when I wrote home for the first time. First sortie in the A-10. I don't know. I went Nordo, which means that nobody can hear me and I can't hear them. So
that's gotta be a great feeling. You're just sitting there completely quiet. Let's hold on here. We've mentioned it 2 or 3 times and we've alluded to it, and it's the whole reason you're on the podcast. And I haven't heard this story.
Yeah, I invited myself on the show. I did.
That's fantastic. That's the best way to do it.
It's like, Peaches, what is going on? I keep seeing all this stuff on social media, and Peaches, I know what you're doing. I'm a podcaster. You're a podcast. Like, what's up? Where's my invite?
I was gonna say I got a really weird. Usually the invite comes from somebody on the team, but this invite came from you. It was like, hey, here's the Zoom call. Be there tomorrow. I'm like, oh, hey,
let's do it.
Thing? Yeah. Okay. Great. I just listen when the Zoom invite pops up. I don't do anything. I just put it on the calendar and then I'm there on time. That's what my job is. So, but hit us off with this story, man. Tell us what happened. So it was your first combat deployment. What did you say that was? 2008 or something?
2006.
2006. Yeah. Okay. So 2006 first combat deployment. Man, take it away.
Well, I mean, I would probably go back and forth with Peaches on this a little bit, but I think, our story probably I think I want to tell the story from the perspective of when we met, because
okay, well we can 2006. We can totally do that.
Yeah, 2006 was the mission, during Operation Medusa, but when I met Peaches face to face, it was like 2012, so like 10 years later.
Yeah, or 6 years later, 8 years later.
6 years later. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We math here pretty hard.
10 or 6.
I gotta be honest with you. I am almost like 80% correct on my numbers now. Like I can put them in order. I can go all the way up to 100. I'm getting pretty good with numbers.
Yeah. So I met Peaches at Nellis. It was I had just gotten to the unit 66 weapons school, and Peaches had just gotten there too, right?
I had been, wait, you said it was 2013 you got there? 2012?
2012.
Yeah, I had been there about a year now at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, those too. Okay.
It was like a Christmas party or something in the fall. Yeah, Christmas party. And standard kind of, military, everybody's, where are you from? What do you do? Where you been?
Butt sniffing.
Where you been stationed? Yeah, butt sniffing. Where'd you go? So when did you deploy? Where did you deploy? And me and Peaches start talking and have that conversation. And when did you deploy? Oh, 2006, 2010, 2011. 2006. I was there in 2006. Oh, cool. When where were you at? I was down south mostly. Oh yeah, we did a lot of work down south in Medusa, and Medusa. I remember that operation. Really? Yeah, I was there like the first day of Operation Medusa. We didn't even know it was Operation Medusa. We came back and Intel briefed us. Yeah, there's this new thing kicking off, 10th Mountain and Operation Medusa in the south out of west of Kandahar, because we didn't really do a ton of work down Kandahar back then. Like, I don't know if you remember, Peaches, but mostly where we were going, I don't know what you were doing, I guess, prior to that, but we were doing a lot up in Koringal and a lot like J-Bad, and a lot in Central, like Coast Bowl, however you say it, and Musa Calais Central, more South Central, I guess. And then we just weren't down in and around Kandahar a ton. It was a lot of NATO fighters down there and stuff. And then, so anyway, you're like, I was there, like, definitely the first day. Like, hang on a sec, like,
Wait a tick.
I don't believe you. Yeah, can't be. And then, so then the ball's rolling here, and like, okay, so because I told you earlier, it was a super memorable day of my life. I mean, I remember nearly all of it. And I started saying, okay, yeah, do you remember? I mean, I did a mission down there on the first day with the guys coming east to west out of like Kandahar area towards those mountains that are out there. And he's like, yeah, I know, man. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So
I love that's a total Peaches thing too. He's gonna make his home, and his home is like, no, I was totally there. And you continue to vet him, and you're like, no. And then this is what happened. Yeah, man, I know, I was totally there.
Yeah,
I lived the event. So yeah, no,
I don't know if he's messing with me.
And then there's this JTAC on the ground, and he was talking on the radio, and he said, and Peaches, yeah, I know, I'm the one that said it. Okay, no, but let me tell you what he said, because I think I know what he meant. I could hear it in his voice.
Yeah. And then I think when I knew for sure that I had been talking to you on the radios was when we started talking about TRPs. We started talking about, all right, well, there was that one mountain that you first guys came up to. We called that the football mountain. And we called that a unit measure, east to west. And yep. And then the mountain range to the west as a western boundary, you called the fish hook. And from the air, that range that's west of Kandahar, it's kind of spattered across. There's a big mountain shaped like a fish hook, and then the one to the east of that is a football shape. And then yes, that I remember using those TRPs as talk-ons for your two ship, and so that was a re-roll for us too. So we had been doing something else, and they called us. And typically when we would get re-rolled, it's call sign, location, frequency. So, hey, you go here, call him on this radio and, or this frequency. So we just showed up and then started talking. And
for the people out there that don't understand this though, it's not often that JTACs or soft teams on the ground meet, whether it's attack pilots, fighter pilots, bomber pilots, whatever that work with them in the past. Like yes, it's a small community, but the soft teams, they're out there for days or weeks. They don't come back and go meet who they
sleep in a nice comfy bed by like the pilots.
That's what we were getting to.
That's not what I was going with this.
Shame.
Everybody saw the snail.
But pilots, you guys will support a troops in contact, or you'll support a mission, and if there's still time remaining, you'll go refuel, and then you'll go support somebody else. It's not like yes, you guys will go up and you'll support one entity for the duration of your mission that day or night, but you guys will, on to the next mission. It's continuous. So to, think that we all know each other and meet each other afterwards is...
Yeah, we're not high-fiving in the chow hall.
Yeah.
We're not high-fiving in the chow hall. Like, it's not... I'm not going to see those guys because they're out in the field. And unless, for some reason, like you or back at a big base or something and you met somebody at the chow hall, but...
Right, and all the soft... Not all the soft teams, but a lot of the soft teams at that time are all at remote FOBs or forward operating bases. So it's not like we would travel back to Bagram or Kandahar or something like that very often, which is where you guys are launching out of. So, and this
and then back stateside, there's no real bases together. It was unique that we were at Nellis together. Like that assignment was unique where there was JTACs and pilots that were, professional, like, peers working together. Like every day going to work, like not just working together on, hey, we're going to do some training out at the range, like every day, coming in,
and
drinking coffee.
This whole place was very...
going to Christmas parties,
just being friends, just getting coffee.
That's literally where this happened. It was a Christmas party, and we're sitting around. It's at somebody's house, and the dining room table, and they've got all the chips and dips and stuff like that. And it's just like, hey man, what's up? Okay, cool.
Just a whole bunch of people pointing with their elbows, refusing to say the word head and stuff. Just playing grab ass because they're pilots, refusing to talk about anything other than flying an airplane because they can fly an airplane and you can't. Like it's the worst.
80% accurate. Yeah.
I'll take 80%.
I know you're good with numbers. And 80%.
I would like to tell you that I can now recognize that 80% is close to 100%, and I was informed 100% is pretty good. So you know what? I'll take it. So anyway, there we are. We're at the Christmas party. Somebody's not allowed to point at something, and there we go.
Yeah. So it was very unique. I mean, during this operation, it was a combined operation. I don't even know if any of that's none of it's classified. I mean, it's all out in the open now. But I mean, there's
a book about it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's day one stuff. You've got different countries involved, and you've got different SOCOM entities and conventional entities involved. And you got everybody going out there, and it was a huge offensive. And in that area, which was Panjwai, was actually where the Russians kind of got their asses handed to them. And it was historically difficult for us because they had these grape drying huts, which are all over Afghanistan, but there's a lot down there. And these grape drying huts are, these large structures that are, at least one story, maybe two story in some regards, extremely thick mud. And these things have been here for hundreds of years. So this hardened mud, and then there's almost like these gun ports, that you can imagine, just these gun ports all over it. And it's where
it's those weird little cutouts.
Yeah.
It's like their windows and how they pass water in and all kinds of stuff. And it's the weirdest thing. And they're not, the thing that always got me too is they weren't uniform. Like it was never like, oh, okay, well here's the template. You're going to put one here. It's just, they were building the house and they were like, oh, one of these little windows, one of these little cutouts will work perfectly right here. So it's never the same.
No.
That would always freak me out walking past any of those buildings. Is you'd be like, oh, there's a port. Why is this one at my knee level?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to deal with this right now. You know what I mean?
And
like I'm already
no
terrified.
There's no roof.
There's no roof. I'm already terrified. It's like
thatch.
It's like a fort that you would find in the woods in America somewhere. That's just like the walls of the structure is left. Yeah, but those were always terrifying, dude. Like walking past.
They're tough too. They're tough. They're not like. I mean, you could put a lot of rounds into those, and like not everybody inside is going to be done.
Nope. which happened a lot. I mean, there was a lot of scenarios where it was trying to drop dumb bombs in them because the strafe angle was just too high for aircraft. I mean, it was extremely challenging, and those guys it was easy for them. They just stick the gun out the port and they're protected.
Yeah. And back in 2006, we were flying with a 1 GBU-12 laser guided Mark 82 and a Mark 82 airburst. And those are only bombs we had on the airplane because if it wasn't a grape hut, it was open field or something like that, or tree line, ridge line, fence line, like all that. And the gun was usually the weapon we used. But yeah, so if you really, really need, it wasn't like JDAMs all over the place like it is today, So
that would be dope though. Just rolling in hot. What do you got? I got 7 500-pounders on me. None of that math works out. You're gonna have to trust me on this one. Too heavy for the aircraft. So let's focus in, man. Like it's 2006. There you are, Peaches. You're on the ground. You obviously had to have some sort of scenario that led you to need Shady up above you. So what was going on? And for the people out there, first of all, Operation Medusa, awesome operation name. I've had some really crappy operation names floating around, but Medusa. So
that's a good one.
So it's a 10th Mountain Op. Usually these ops are really big and they usually cover an entire geographical area. So like Rock Avalanche was where in the Korengal, that's where the Medal of Honor came out of, was Rock Avalanche's entire mission. It was Operation Rock Avalanche. So this was Operation Medusa. I assume it was a clear and hold operation because at the time those were all the rage. So Peaches, what tell us about the mission a little bit and what led up to the reason for the homecoming at the Christmas party and the story years later.
Yeah, so it was like I had mentioned, kind of Panjwai was where historically the Russians lost. They bad, and it was a difficult area for us too, but it was kind of like you just said, it was a clearing operation. So we will do pre-planned aircraft, as we kind of think that we're going through. And we had, if I remember right, I think we had gotten delayed a day or two. So a lot of the pre-planned aircraft that I had lined up had gotten re-rolled to other places. So, like Shady had mentioned, we were coming in from east to west on the road from Kandahar. and we're getting to where we plan to go, and basically from that football-shaped mountain, me and my team, we owned everything north of the mountain, and then two other JTACs owned everything to the south. So, and I'm there with strikers or striker vehicles, for those that don't know, conventional forces, and a very small soft team. I think there were 6 of us, right? Just 6 of us on the mountain. And essentially my radio was the mission. So no kidding, as we're hiking up the mountains and stuff like that, like these guys would no kidding surround me just to make sure that, like I said, my radio is the mission, essentially, at least for the northern side. So
Peaches was precious cargo. It's like any other day in my life.
just a little
like,
guy.
Yeah. You gotta
hiking up the mountain. I remember you were running. I remember you saying, "Okay, if I don't answer for a little bit, it's because I'm moving."
Trying to catch my breath.
Like, I'm catching my breath or I'm moving.
Give me a second. I'm running. All this gear is heavy.
Yeah.
This is a mountain.
So I mean, it was game on as soon as the ramps dropped on the site on the strikers, and then it was running up the mountain, and then I had some.
I remember.
What's that?
I remember my flight lead had me watching friendlies, and he was looking north, and yeah, I remember saying it was early in my deployment too, and I remember saying, "Hey, I think they're either shooting or getting shot at," because I saw the puffs coming out of the
guys,
strikers.
It looks like it sucks on the ground. I don't know what's happening, but I don't think it looks like a good time.
Because I had never seen the strikers shooting before, I had never seen, and so I'm like, okay, I'm not sure, something's going on. And
my favorite
troops in contact.
My favorite.
But you
thing,
knew that was the thing. You guys knew, like, hey, we're going someplace bad. I remember that too. Before we hooked up before. It wasn't like you were. I don't think you were troops in contact when we met on the radio.
No.
Right? Yeah. It was like, hey, we're going someplace. We know it's a bad place. We know it's going to be bad. And didn't we go get gas? I think we left and got gas when you told us that. Yeah. You said, we're going someplace. It's going to be bad. And we were like, okay. And it was my flight lead, Kanuski. So I was a wingman, and he was a great flight lead, a great man, in my opinion. But that's when we were like, all right, if this sounds terrible, scariest environment imaginable. That's all I had to say. Scariest environment imaginable. That's all I had to say.
200 degrees during the day, negative 200 at night. That's all
so then we went, got gas, and came back, so we would have more station time. And you guys moved a little bit when we were gone, but then it was like, okay, we're back, we've got gas, and you're like, all right. And then you pushed like up to the mountain.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. It's good because I like, no kidding, thanks IEDs, I've lost a lot of it, like memory wise. So yeah, we knew we were going into a bad place. Ramps drop, it's game on, and then it's I don't remember. It was either 18 or 36 hour firefight at that point, and I don't think you got. I don't remember if you specifically came back to support us, because there were other people down south that also were troops in contact a lot. But I mean, you're talking about a whole lot of ordnance, and they brought in. I mean, we were dropping so much that I'm pretty sure it was the USS Enterprise was traveling, and they actually stopped them to roll F-18s and Harriers off of there to help support us, because we were dropping so much. I mean, we had Predators, we had B-1s, we had F-16, like
Apaches.
Apaches, Danish F-16s. Like it was an enormous operation. And this is for those that remember, this was also when we had a fratricide as well, where it was like, so as a JTAC and as a...
Not on this day, not on this mission,
but
in this operation in the south.
During that operation. So there was so much going on with all these different entities. It was incredible to be part of. But like I said at the beginning, Shady and his lead 100%. I mean, they rolled in immediately as we're getting hit. And there was especially with this school, like there was a school.
Zigzag building.
Yeah, zigzag building, which ended up being a school, but there were loads of people in there just working us. I mean, putting us through the ringer. And these guys rolled in, drop bombs, strafe after strafe. I talked about those grape huts. Guys were hitting us from the grape huts, hitting those guys. And it just ended up being an incredible 2-week mission, I think is what it was, 2 or 3 week mission.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it was weird. This was what was happening. Like it was wild happening in 2006, but as we're sitting there at the Christmas party in 2012, just sitting here talking about this and reminiscing and going like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm actually meeting you. And thanks for what you did because, hey, by the way, this is my son and my daughter.
Yeah.
and my wife
no big pressure
here. Didn't know, or actually, no, at that point, Donna and I were married. But like, you know, my kids wouldn't exist. Actually, Donna was pregnant during that deployment. Yeah. Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah, I know.
So,
yeah, she gave me a big hug. I would get. Sometimes I almost. Yeah, it was emotional, man. It was like. I think that sometimes pilots don't. I know. I have this idea in my head. You know, I go back to the B hut. And like, I knew that I did good work that day that we did, but you just don't know like how bad it is. Sometimes we're not running around on the ground, putting in all the stuff that you're talking about, like shooting back. And I remember you were taking fire from so many places that there was no other friendlies out there. You know, there was no other friendlies, especially, you know, so on the north side, all bad. And so there was a lot of like, we could see muzzle flashes from different areas. And then we would a lot of times put you like, okay, we've got here, and here. You're taking fire from here. I remember those, like, this is where it's coming from, you know, like, and cause we would see different areas and those became targets, you know? So it was like working together a lot. And then, like you mentioned, later on, I don't know about that day, but yeah, we came down to Medusa over and over. The squadron, it was the 81st Fighter Squadron, and the 303rd Fighter Squadron, which was a reserve unit, was augmenting us. That's the unit that I eventually went to and joined the reserves later on. But yeah, I mean, when I met Donna, it was pretty crazy, man. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get emotional now, but
don't get emotional.
A big deal.
We're gonna force you to.
It was a big deal, and then even my father will say that was one of the most meaningful days of his life was when he met your parents, and they were grateful, you know, and you know, I don't know, it's wild. Big deal in my life, man. It was a big deal in my life, and it motivated me a lot to keep you know, flying A-10s and doing close air support, and it really I don't know, meant a lot. It was super special to be able to meet you guys face to face and then become friends, you know, like Steph and Donna were close when we were out there and hung out, and so it's cool that your kids are all grown up and stuff now, and now I've got kids and I don't do anything cool anymore. I'm just a bus driver. But
well, so when you are doing cool stuff and you are running those cast scenarios, whether it be in training or real world, like obviously that is really hard to manage. Like you're talking to another person. It's essentially, you know, you're talking, in this case, talking to Peaches on the ground and trying to coordinate, and you know, all the while there's gunfire going off. Like people are trying to do you harm. So that's a lot. We get a lot of questions about, you know, managing stress or mentally managing a situation. What would be your advice? Because obviously you're pretty good at it, right? Like you can fly into a situation that is high stress, life or death, you know, with dire physical consequences all the way, you know, up to terrible stuff going on if you don't act accordingly. So how do you manage it in that moment? Like, do you have any tips or tricks that you use, or or do you have any tips about you? You seem like a pretty excitable guy. I was going to tell you to calm down a couple times.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't think you get worked up very easily, but
I think obviously training prepares you for game day and that type of thing. Sometimes people ask me like that, and the stressful situations in the aircraft, it really just it breeds focus more than anything. I try and channel that energy into focus, and realize that slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? I don't want to do anything. I don't want to make mistakes that people can't walk away from, right? So, tips or tricks just go back to your training, and having habit patterns, I think, was really important in our community. I don't know what it's like in yours, but it's easy. Hey, I'm troops in contact and they're right over there. I need ordnance there. Okay, I'm in with ordnance. There's processes and tactics that exist that you have to prevent bad things, fratricide and things like that from happening. So I think slow is smooth, smooth is fast is, I guess, one piece of advice. Like, take your time and do it the right way. And if you have good habit patterns that you built in training, you'll be able to go through those processes quickly because they're ingrained into your operating system, right? You're going to this is the way I do it every time. And if I need to I don't do it faster. I don't rush. I'm efficient. I do things efficiently. I don't do things really fast when I'm under pressure, because that's when people make mistakes. So, and then if you have a habit pattern as well, and you get to a point where you skipped a step, that's like a red flag, okay, hey, I need to go back to my habit pattern and start over and slow it down and do my thing correctly. So I don't know if that's really what you're getting at exactly. I mean, stress, I wouldn't say, it doesn't seem stressful. I wouldn't say okay, now I'm doing troops in contact, it's stressful. Specific advice that I got one time from a dude was every time before you roll in, just take a deep breath, look to your left, look to your right, and be sure that you're right, but I think habit patterns is something that I always taught in the A-10 to use to deal with
just
challenging missions.
Just don't mess it up, and there's no pressure. It's fine, right?
just be real good.
Yeah, no.
Don't suck. Don't mess this up.
I think we get that.
That's a really good one. How
Another good instructional technique is, all right, I'm going to need you to do better next time. It's wasn't good enough, and next
all
time
of the stuff that you did,
do better.
I've got more of an AAR for you, but this is just all of the things that you did. Just don't do that next time. None of
Do
the
it.
things.
Stop being so much you and be more like someone else next time.
You were somebody.
Maybe like me. I don't know. I'm just one example. One example of
Pretend like you're
many other people that are better than you at what you do.
Pretend like you're anybody that is better than what you just did. How about that?
Yeah.
You know what's stressful is when Medusa's going on and all the guys up in Urzgan can't get any resources for any of the stuff that they're getting into. That's what I'm saying. The whole time you're telling this story, all I'm like is, this is why we could only get one Dutch Apache that wouldn't come below 10,000 feet to check out anything. That's why? It's because you guys were playing games?
Yeah. We're building friendships down in the south.
So you guys can meet at a Christmas party years later, and we're just out there I guess we'll use 105s. We'll use 105s. We got nothing.
Sure.
This is going to be so great on the Christmas party.
They're really accurate.
This is going to be so good.
I'm glad Medusa
that was a long
well.
drive down there, too, from Bagram. So it was always a pre-vol tank, and then we went down there all the time afterwards.
Nah.
And I did other missions down there, but, I think that day, we probably refueled once with you that day, after, probably pre-vol and then during, we probably refueled once. But
now Trent and I have got this underlying thing, though, I guess we got to talk about.
No, that's not true. Because
There's a lot of There was a lot of pain inside
I know.
inside of those words. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of feeling behind those for whatever reason.
No, I've talked about it before because 2006 out there at the same probably around the same time. I think I did the weather workup at CAF before I ripped out to the fob for Medusa, and we did have an A-10 make it for when it actually mattered up there. I've talked about this before, and the emotions and how like you never think it's going to be a big deal, but like when you're on the ground and that dude comes in and hits that tree line and all those the PKM stops shooting and no more RPGs coming after your boys, like I'm a little jealous that Jared got to meet his A-10 driver, and do all the hugs and all the other stuff because like you want to be like, dude, like whoever that was just pulled us out of a pretty bad situation. And so like we've talked to some AC-130 folks, and yeah, is it the same way? Like, do you get that? I know you're professional and you're calm and everything else in the cockpit, but like after you do that, when does it hit you that you're like, I think I just saved those dudes' lives, and like they're probably feeling amazing. Like, is it when you land that you finally let yourself like?
Obviously, at a Christmas party with Peaches years later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
he wrote a letter home about it that day. He knew what's up.
Like
a few old fashions in the emotions.
Yeah. I'm realizing now that the letter home story, like, it seems unbelievable, but yeah, I swear, it seems, but I did. I was writing letters back then, and yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I think you just hope that all those missions are like that, and that that guy has a family, and that he's going to go see them. And it doesn't really stop because there's other guys in other places. So for me, it wasn't like a sense of accomplishment. Like, okay, there's no end, and we were over there a long time. And so, I mean, it doesn't really end because there's always another guy in the ground. And so I don't think that I kind of like take a big deep sigh and think, oh wow, I'm done, or I did that thing for that guy, and then so everything's great, because I know that he's still out there and there's other guys out there, and there's and some guys don't come home. So it's, you just always keep trying to do the best you can and hope that you make a difference in people's lives, here and there. But when you get back to the base, I have a close friendship with my flight lead from that mission, because we stay in touch, and so you build bonds with the guys that you fly with, friendships, because you're sharing those experiences and you have the same kind of hopes that you do make a difference. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest indicator that you've done something that you think is special, is that you have that shared experience with the guys in your squadron or the guy that you flew with. And if you have that, then you probably know that you did something important. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something from a guy on the ground that's dealing with that. We don't really think about that. Like, for those of you that haven't, flown, like, on the ground, there's a lot of noise. You hear the gunfire, you see the boom, you feel the boom. There's a lot of stuff going on. In the air, you're not hearing the boom. You're not seeing, you can see the kind of the flash and then the smoke and stuff like that, but you're not hearing it unless it's coming over the radio. So, and then as you come back, you're going through your pod footage, you're debriefing, you're figuring out what you did right, what you did wrong, what can improve.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's never like you come back, you're just focused all the time on trying to get better, really. And you come back, you're debriefing. Mm-hmm. You're not like, oh, hoo-hoo, awesome, yeah, chow hall. Let's, we do eat chow, but
let's get them omelets. But
but midnight chow is always the best chow.
Midnight chow,
always the best.
But
fantastic.
Like, one of the things that I noticed, like when I was with the Vipers as the wing weapons officer out there, whenever they would come back from TICs, I would always go over there and sit through their footage, debrief with them. And a lot of those guys, especially for their first deployment, and it's something that I never considered, right? And I told Colonel Black this when she was on, but there was a lot of emotion and frustration within those guys because they are flying, supporting guys on the ground. They're in a bad situation, and there's only so much that the pilot can do. Like, I'm out of gas, right? Or
Yeah.
I'm out of ordnance, or the situation on the ground is so bad that either the JTAC or team on the ground and I, as the pilot, can't sort it out. So I'm doing the absolute best, and I can hear the pain and frustration in their voices and know what they're going on. So I mean, I didn't really appreciate that or even recognize that until doing that one deployment with the Vipers, and now I have a whole nother appreciation for it, and I can recognize that now. Have you ever gone through some of that or feel some of that, other than when we were talking about? Because I'm sure there's a lot of growing and maturing involved from that deployment in 2006 to your last one in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is. Those feelings exist. Rules of engagement is another thing on that list that you didn't mention that is hyper frustrating for pilots, because a lot of times what has to happen in certain situations, and if that can't happen for reasons that aren't gas or ordnance, if there's other reasons, like that's very painful, and that drives a lot of guys away from the military. Really, they're just fed up with that type of thing. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think you're always trying to do better, trying to get better and debrief and things like that, and trying to think of ways that even you can mitigate things like gas and ordnance. Did I use the right weapon for the right target? Did I kill it the first time? Because if I didn't, that was another weapon I could have used for another target. And did I manage my information correctly? Did I waste time doing things? And that's the frustration with like a bad talk on, like this talk on is going bad and we're taking time, and and I only have so much gas, and I have to leave. And so I need this to go better, or we're not going to be able to drop these weapons, So there's frustration that comes out sometimes even as it's happening, that maybe is built into the psyche of the pilot, because he's always operating in this, like, I have to get this done to help now, or I'm going to be gone. And different platforms have different station times and stuff. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, I think
it's a tough question. It's a tough question. So
I'll say this too. I'll say it's bothersome. It bothers me sometimes that, you can't ever take that next step. You're always one dimension away. So no matter how much you care, no matter how much you want to help, no matter what you do, you're still not that guy on the ground. You're not the dude that's in it. And quite frankly, you're not the guy there's a lot. I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but like, I don't know if I should say this, but the guy on the ground, those are the guys that are dying. Those are the guys that are really, really making big sacrifices. I mean, there's pilots that die in combat too, and there have been, and it's no disrespect to the pilots that have done that, and but I'm just talking in numbers. In numbers, those are the big numbers of casualties. Of all the casualties from the war, there's more guys on the ground than there are A-10 pilots. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, but there's this kind of like, I can only, this is all I got, and then, so you're trying your best to do what you can, and that you're never going to be the guy on the ground, but you just really want to help him because they're going to keep coming back, and they're the ones getting year-long deployments and, IEDs everywhere and things like that. I mean, I'm I go to the ramp, I take off, I fly. I'm at the airport. I'm not as vulnerable to the situations that the guy on the ground is,
But that number would be a lot higher without the air support. A lot higher.
Yeah. And again, I didn't mean to make that statement to say like, if a pilot or there's other humans that have lost their lives in this conflict that I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, it's mostly other people than pilots, mostly. I don't know.
Okay, so to lighten this up a bit, Shady, before we wrap this up, I do want to throw out or plug your podcast. So you've got a podcast called Wait.
No, you don't have to.
No. I'm going to do it.
All right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So, I mean, when I stopped flying A-10s, I don't have any demons or any badness really, but I did have I was doing something that I cared about for so long, something I was really passionate about that I really missed it. I mean, I didn't just miss flying A-10s. I missed having something that I did professionally that I cared about a lot. And, I have a job at Delta too, which is a great job. I'm not bitching about my job. It's not.
Shout out Delta, favorite airline.
Yeah, keep climbing.
Sponsor the podcast, Delta. What's up? You trying to kick it or like, man? I got a banner that I could fit right back here. Delta, what's up? Hey man, give me that. Give me that friends and family rate. I'm already a diamond medallion member. Holler at me. Come on, what's up?
Yeah,
I'm really not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You're 80% there. You're 80% of the way.
No stolen valor on the diamond silver medallion level for Delta. That's not the one you get me on internet.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something that I was a little bit more passionate about. I guess I'll say it that way. And so, I wanted to start writing again. I was a really creative kid growing up. I wasn't, the flying airplanes thing was kind of it was a lot different than I was doing art and creative writing and stuff. And so when I went to go fly in the Air Force, I kind of flushed all that other stuff and didn't really buried it deep down. Never talk about it again, like that type of thing. And
I've been told that that's the best way to deal with stuff.
Bury it deep down.
You gotta
never talk about it.
Feelings, you have to push them down, but feelings they tend to move upwards. So you have to put something on top of them. Usually alcohol.
They become diamonds.
It's the best to keeps them keeps them way down. Just put a layer.
So I wanted to do something that I was a little more into, I guess, and I love fly fishing. If I could do one thing every day, kind of besides spend time with my family for the rest of my life, I would go fly fishing. And so I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to write, I need to practice. So let me start this blog. What am I going to write about? Well, I really like fly fishing. I'll write about that. So I started a fly fishing blog, and that kind of grew into a brand. I sell some swag, and then I started painting again, and I started putting my art out for people to see, and then I started selling art. And then I felt like my blog, I wasn't able to communicate as much as I could with. I felt like I had reached the limit of where I could help people with fly fishing and stories that I had. So I thought that it would be cool to add other people's stories. So that's when I started the podcast, and I interview fly fishy people. And yeah, so I've got a website called Wade Out There, and it's a blog and a podcast. Podcasts everywhere you listen to podcasts, and it's about fly fishing, people's stories, what brought them to fly fishing, and then a little bit about the rivers they fish, and then the tactics and philosophies that they use. And our tagline is "Fly fishing is special, but not elite." So, and it's cool. The more that I've done it, the more I've talked to people that have started that really are into fly fishing, to help them deal with a lot of those things that we're talking about that they're very deep down that they don't want to talk about. So I've had veterans on a few times, and there's a lot of organizations that use fly fishing to help with PTSD and things like that, which that's not what the show is about. But, I've had several episodes, where we do talk about that, and it's pretty amazing how much it's helped people. So it's been exciting the more that I do it to be able to see and tell stories like that. And it's not just military service, but people that dealing with anxiety or mental health issues for whatever reason. It's odd how that I meet these people in fly fishing. They're just really passionate about it, so it's been cool.
That's awesome. Well, for everybody out there, it's wadeoutthere.com. Also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check out Shady. Shady, again, really appreciate you coming on, telling your story. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so thanks for giving me the motivation and the little push to make it happen. Certainly appreciate it. So everybody that's out there, again, please subscribe, leave us a review. Go check Shady's podcast out as well. Don't forget our promo code at all One's Ready at all of the partners and friends that we have, and we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
See ya. Train hard.
Later.